The Sino-US trade war and technology war have been going on for many years. Those who predicted China's collapse in the early days were obviously wrong. China did not collapse and continued to develop rapidly in the industrial field. But China is indeed facing huge downward economic pressure, partly because of the impact of the trade war and partly because of the Chinese government's decision-making errors. There are two popular words in Chinese society. One is lying flat, and the other is consumption downgrade. Indeed, China's middle class is facing huge survival pressure. The operating environment of small business owners is far worse than before the trade war, and white-collar workers are also facing the risk of being laid off at any time. This is mainly because the shrinking real estate market has led to the shrinking of residents' assets, and the epidemic has caused ordinary households to rapidly decline in savings, increase debt ratios, and lose their previous purchasing power. China's e-commerce platforms and giant companies are pervasive. New business ecosystems, such as live streaming, have bypassed traditional sales channels and directly reach consumers from manufacturers, causing a large number of merchants to go bankrupt. China is staging the world's most resolute AI revolution, replacing human production with robots. Airports, docks, warehouses, factories, etc. are widely unmanned, and even traditional service industries such as restaurants and hotels are difficult to avoid. These factors, coupled with the impact of the trade war and the technology war, have overwhelmed many middle-class families who can only save money and buy cheap goods. This is the so-called consumption downgrade. The decline in consumption capacity will make it difficult to sell mid to high-end products, and the service industry such as entertainment and tourism will be downgraded. The market size will shrink, resulting in fewer employment opportunities, forming a vicious cycle. Therefore, after the trade war, China's economic growth rate has dropped from about 8% to about 5% now. There is no doubt that China's domestic economic pressure is very high. However, when it comes to collapse, this is not the case at all. China's economic growth rate is still excellent among major economies. And the huge price paid by the Chinese also has another benefit: entering a wartime economy in advance. Let me give you a simple example. A high-end Apple mobile phone costs $2,000, and a mid to low-end Chinese mobile phone costs 2,000 yuan, which is less than $300. The difference in their functions is minimal, and even the experience difference in mainstream games is not big. Only in the field of high-end mobile games is the experience difference large. But their prices differ by 7 times. For middle and lower-class consumers, the decline in quality of life is not obvious under such consumption downgrade. For the price of one Adidas or Nike, you can buy 5 or even 10 similar Chinese products, and the quality difference is minimal. This is even more true for luxury brands such as LV, Gucci, Chanel, etc., which have a large number of affordable alternatives. The middle class will not reduce their quality of life by giving up these high-brand value-added products. The entry price of a BMW 5 Series in the Chinese market is about $45,000 with a 2.0T gasoline engine, while the entry price of a BYD Han is less than $20,000 with DMI hybrid technology or electric drive. Far more powerful than the BMW 5 Series and higher vehicle configuration. Middle-class families have completed consumption downgrades, and their quality of life has not declined at all. But they have saved more than half of the purchase cost and more than 2/3 of the maintenance and use costs. Ford CEO bought a Xiaomi SU7 and used it for a long time, and praised it highly. He called for an end to the discussion of TikTok and Huawei and saving the U.S. auto industry. China has built a large amount of infrastructure in various communities for storing express delivery. The cost of a Chinese courier delivering a single express delivery is only 1/10 of that in the United States. Even so, Chinese companies are still using drones and unmanned delivery vehicles to replace humans on a large scale. In China, ordering a takeaway at 2 a.m. to your home only costs 20 yuan, or $3.50, while in the United States, not only is it difficult for such a service to exist, even if it does exist, $3.50 is not even enough to cover the courier's transportation fee. Economic experts see that the nominal GDP of the United States is higher and discuss the use of PPP standards to correct it. In fact, the PPP standard has a limited coverage and cannot reflect the real gap between the Chinese and American economies. The competition between the two countries ultimately competes on who creates more products and services and more wealth. The actual living standards of the people are also a competition between public facilities and household facilities, which cannot be measured by simple GDP data. In fact, the economic pressure on American middle-class families after paying various bills is much higher than that of Chinese middle-class families. The world currency status of the US dollar allows Americans to easily plunder the wealth produced by other countries by printing money. But the side effects of this plunder are also very obvious, that is, raising the prices of goods and services in the United States, making the American middle class feel obviously deprived. I will also elaborate in other videos what serious consequences the United States will face once the world currency status of the US dollar is shaken. So the conclusion is very simple. China's economy is under great pressure, and ordinary people are under great pressure in life. But China has chosen the right solution: to allow technology to innovate freely, improve productivity, and let ordinary people share the pressure of economic downturn through hard work and choosing more cost-effective products and services. The competition between China and the United States is essentially an economic war, just like the Soviet-German War. It is not whoever takes the initiative will win. Only by truly and effectively mobilizing the people to invest in economic production and create more social wealth can we win the final victory. The United States, which keeps printing money, speculating in the stock market, and refusing to innovate productivity for votes, has obviously taken the wrong path. I don't know whether the Chinese economy will collapse, but the US economy is indeed not so optimistic.